Hi everyone, finally we have reached to the 100th lecture in this particular polity series. I'm really happy about it, and we have lot many topics to be done, so I'm very sure we'll be reaching somewhere around 200 also very soon. So let's quickly start now with legislature. We are done with executive. Now we'll be seeing both union and state legislature as you can see on the screen. The first topic that we'll cover here would be about the constitution or the organization of the state and the union legislature. See, what I'm trying to do is not exactly following only the content of, the content list of the books that you follow, but we are doing it from what is given in the, we'll do it everything which is given in the book, but we'll do it in the headings which are given in the constitution, like the article wise, because initial few articles you will see similarly in the book also, but in the later phase you will see there are things shuffled because they have given it in some other sequence. So we'll use the convenient sequence firstly, which is important to understand the topic and which will be mostly related to how it is arranged in the constitution, so that you have the backing of the articles with you easily. And elsewhere, if needed, we'll make certain changes, but in the end you will notice that all the articles and all the pages of the books are also done. I hope that's clear. So now it is given chapter number 2 parliament here, and then chapter number 3 state legislature here. So firstly, in this video we'll only understand what the constitution or the organization, how they are arranged, and what are the components of parliament and the state legislature. Parliament is the lawmaking body, but it is not the only function that it performs, but there are many other things which we'll do in the later phase. So parliament जो हमारा यूनियन लेजिस्लेचर होता है उसको हम पार्लियामेंट बोलते हैं, एंड देन फॉर डिफरेंट स्टेट्स यू हैव द स्टेट लेजिस्लेचर. What is exactly the component we will now see here. So you will notice that the word used in the constitution is also the constitution word only, constitution of parliament and constitution of state legislature. So this is what we'll try to use here as well, so that it is easier for understanding. Consti, and we'll do both of them simultaneously so that we have the clear-cut understanding of how the union and the state legislature things are managed. So constitution of parliament and constitution of state legislature. ठीक है, यहाँ पे जो कवरेज होगा वो कहाँ किस चैप्टर पार्ट्स में होगा वो हम देखते हैं. So it is part 5 union, this is part 6 states firstly. Then part 5 union में you have chapter number 2 named as parliament, and इसमें you have chapter number 3 named as legislatures of the state. उसमें आप देखोगे जो एक सब हेडिंग है that is about general. So certain general features they have done firstly. ठीक है, ये सारा general features है firstly आपको दिखेगा, and then you will see office of parliament, officers of parliament, then certain other subheadings like conduct of business, etc. etc. So firstly what we are trying to cover is the general features that we'll be doing, and that will include, so the general provisions are from article 79 to 88 here, and here they are from article 168 to 177. This is going to be a broad structure, and this particular topic of constitution here will cover article 79, and here it will be article 168 and 169. You will understand why there are two articles to be done here. Here it will only be article 79. Let's see what is given in article 79. It says there shall be, now you will see कि है तो ये दिखने में छोटा सा एक line, but the detailed discussion would be there, so please do not take it for granted like just there shall be a parliament for the union which shall consist of president and the two houses, to be known respectively as the Council of State and House of the People. Now please notice they are not using the word Rajya Sabha or Lok Sabha here. The words they are using is Council of States and House of the People in the Constitution. Elsewhere also you will see the words used in the Constitution is Council of States and House of People. So remember this first. So हमने क्या पढ़ा अभी? What we have done about the constitution of parliament, that there will be a parliament for union which will have on one hand a president, on the other hand it will have two houses, and the name of the two houses will be Council of States and Houses of the People. ठीक है? Now this pattern that we have borrowed, that we have two houses and one president, is borrowed. Now see, the constitution is giving you only this much is writing. Now whatever else we'll do will be the explanations of details of it. So firstly that you have to remember that this, what we have, this pattern that we have borrowed is based on the British pattern. Because in Britain, उनका जो सिस्टम है, वहाँ पे जो ब्रिटेन में पार्लियामेंट है, वहाँ पर भी क्राउन है, चाहे राजा चाहे रानी. अभी आपको पता है रानी की डेथ हुई है, ठीक है, और राजा बन रहे हैं. सो क्राउन यहाँ, और हमारे यहाँ क्राउन के जगह वी हैव द प्रेसिडेंट. एंड देन उनके पास भी जो टू हाउसेस हैं, उनके पास एक हाउस है उनका जो अपर हाउस जिसको बोलते हैं हाउस ऑफ लॉर्ड्स, और लोअर हाउस जिसको बोलते हैं हाउस ऑफ कॉमन्स. ये लोअर अपर क्या है वो हम अभी देखेंगे इंडियन कॉन्टेक्स्ट में. सो वी हैव फॉलोड द ब्रिटिश मॉडल हियर, वी हैव नॉट फॉलोड द अमेरिकन मॉडल. व्हाट इज देयर इन द अमेरिकन मॉडल विल सी इन द कमिंग वीडियोस, sorry, in the coming time. So now firstly let's understand in detail about this particular thing. So Parliament, Union Parliament of India, rather, borrowed from British model that you have understood. And what did we see? So we have president and we have two houses. One is Council of State, another is House of People. This is given in Constitution. Then what happened? Constitution was made in 1950. 49 you will say, but then enforced in 50. But in the year 1954 they started to use the Hindi terms for them. So Council of States के लिए उन्होंने बोला राज्य सभा, and House of People के लिए they said लोक सभा. There are certain other explanations for them also. For example, it is known as upper house, Council of State or Rajya Sabha, and it is known as lower house. ठीक है? It is also known as second chamber. It is known as first chamber. Lower house कहीं का भी first chamber कहलाएगा. It is known as House of Elders also. इसमें कौन लोग होते हैं, members कैसे बनते हैं, वो सब हम आगे देखेंगे. It is also called as popular house. Popular, which means because here the members are directly elected by the people, and you'll see that in the coming time. Now the Rajya Sabha basically represents the states and UTs of the Union of India, and here the Lok Sabha represents people of India as a whole. ठीक है, ये आपको याद रखना है. अब क्वेश्चन आता है, this is the broader arrangement. The question is, so we have borrowed the British model but not the American model. ठीक है, not the US model. Why? Because firstly they have a presidential system, है ना, presidential system and not parliamentary system. अब इनके presidential system में क्या होता है, they believe in the, and we have done this, the feature is separation between legislature and executive, and therefore the US president is not a part of their legislature or congress. उनके legislature को congress बोलते हैं. So the president, which is a part of executive, is not a part of legislature, and they have strict separation. Why? Because they follow the presidential system. But in the parliamentary system, we follow the parliamentary system, and Britain also follows that. So we have the interdependence between legislature and executive, and therefore we have the president in India like they have the crown in Britain. I hope that is now clear to you. Another thing that you have to remember about president. president is a part of parliament, yes, but president is not a member of parliament. ठीक है, not a member, only a part of parliament. Not a member means the president will not sit in the parliament to attend the meetings, but still is an integral part of parliament, because there are many things wherein the president's like you would say initiation is required. Let's say if a bill has to become a law, it requires president's assent, that you have seen, and again you will see in this whole chapter of a legislature. Then there are certain other functions related to the proceedings, like how the process happens in the parliament, like session bulana, prorogue karna, dissolve karna, address karna. Presidential address is something you must have read about in the newspaper. Ordinances ko leke, which will do. So all of these requires the president's office. Therefore, president is an integral part of parliament but not a member of parliament. Now I hope the parliament structure is clear to you, and on a very similar basis we have the structure in state legislature also, which is given in article 169. So if you notice, it says constitution of state legislature, for every state there shall be a legislature which shall consist of the governor. So in place of president you have the governor, and certain states names are given. So it is telling that these states will have 2 houses and other states will have 1 house. I'll give you in writing also. So firstly, it is telling that the state, this is given in article 168, it is telling that the state legislature will have governor and will have 1 house in other states and 2 house in some states. Some specific names are given. Then another thing, it says where there are 2 houses of the legislature, one will be known as council, another will be assembly, and when there is only 1 house, it will be known as the legislative assembly. So like the names were given for legislature, यूनियन लेजिस्लेचर, उसी बेसिस पे हम यहाँ बात करेंगे. तो जहाँ पे 1 हाउस है इसको हम बोलेंगे लेजिस्लेटिव असेंबली, एंड जहाँ पे 2 हाउसेज हैं उनको हम बोलेंगे लेजिस्लेटिव असेंबली एंड लेजिस्लेटिव काउंसिल, लाइक द नेम्स दे हैव यूज्ड हियर, काउंसिल ऑफ स्टेट एंड हाउस ऑफ पीपल. तो अब इन्हीं के पैटर्न पे ये भी है, जैसे ये अलग नाम दिए गए अपर हाउस, लोअर हाउस. सो नाउ दैट यू विल अंडरस्टैंड अबाउट द स्टेट लेजिस्लेचर. So we'll quickly devise. So we'll have governor, we'll have 1 house, and we'll have 2 houses in some states. It will be called as legislative council and assembly. It is legislative assembly. Now understand, जहाँ पे भी legislative assembly है, आप याद रखेंगे उनका दूसरा नाम जिससे आप ज़्यादा परिचित होंगे. You will be more familiar with the common name which we call as विधान सभा. This is also the lower house. This is the first chamber. Similar basis पर correspondence में जैसे हमने लोकसभा पढ़ा, similar will go for legislative assembly. Like it is there Rajya Sabha, you have the legislative council. Now see, these basic things I have already explained in the earlier videos also, when we were doing the basics in the initial few videos of legislature, executive, judiciary, which I have asked you to refer to time and again. So I hope the basics are clear to you. In case they are not, you will have to go through the earlier videos, and there only I had told that when I'll do these topics, I'll directly, once after informing, I'll move to the advanced levels, because basics we are done with. Here the legislative assembly is same, Vidhan Sabha, but legislative council is called as Vidhan Parishad. And the same thing is there, it is upper house, it is second chamber like Rajya Sabha, and it is also known as the House of Elders. Okay, now please understand, presently, and so you will understand one thing firstly, that we do not have a uniformity in the state system, state legislature. Why? Because some states will have only 1 house, some will have 2 houses. जहाँ पे ये 1 house system चलता है उसको बोलते हैं यूनिकैमरल लेजिस्लेचर. ये आपने मॉडर्न इंडियन हिस्ट्री में भी पढ़ा होगा. यूनि मीन्स 1 and 2 houses, it is called as bicameral legislature. Okay, So you will notice that most of the states, and presently it is 22 states which have unicameral legislature. Bicameral presently is in 6 states. 28 states are there total. 6 states have bicameral legislature: Arunachal Pradesh, Bihar, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Telangana, and Uttar Pradesh. Please remember these 6 names. Apart from that, you will also come across 2 names here. इस लिस्ट में अगर आप देखोगे, जो कि एक आता है तमिलनाडु का और एक आता है मध्य प्रदेश का. बट प्रेजेंटली देयर डेट्स आर येट टू बी नोटिफाइड. इफ़ यू नोटिस नंबर 4 एंड यहाँ पे नंबर 10 अगर आप देखो, नंबर 4 डेट ऑफ इन्फोर्समेंट येट टू बी नोटिफाइड, एंड नंबर 9 तमिलनाडु के केस में भी डेट ऑफ एनफोर्समेंट येट टू बी नोटिफाइड. ठीक है, तो तमिलनाडु के केस में भी सम टाइम दे हैड, फिर अबॉलिश्ड, हैड, ऐसे करके चीज़ें चली हैं. बट यू हैव टू रिमेंबर इवन दो द ओरिजिनल कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन गिव्स देयर नेम, but presently in existence Tamil Nadu and MP do not have bicameral. Only these 6 states have bicameral legislature, which is the presence of both legislative council and legislative assembly. And 2019 tak, till Jammu Kashmir was also a state, Jammu Kashmir also had a bicameral legislature, but it is abolished because now JNK is a UT. Now the question from here is that this structure, that some, the specific some states having both the houses and rest not having, is it a permanent structure? Let's say we face this problem. Is this list permanent of states having what kind of structure? So the answer to this is no. And therefore we get that answer in Article 169. Therefore here you have seen that we are doing one only article here, Article 79, but here 2 articles, 168 and 169. So 68 तो हमने समझ लिया, it is giving you the constitution for the state legislature, that you have understood. But 169 says how these councils can be abolished or created. So this you have to understand that this structure that we are seeing, or this list that we are seeing, is not permanent and can be changed. Okay? Therefore we will see how this can happen. So this is talking about the abolition or creation of legislative councils in states. Abolish कहाँ होगा? Where it is already existing. And creation kahan hoga? When it is not existing, which means that this can be done, this can be changed. Firstly, how it can be done? It can be done by parliament, by making a law. So parliament by making a law can go for abolition or creation of legislative council. But for that to happen, that particular state legislative assembly तो permanent है, वो तो रहेगी. तो जो permanent in the sense not a permanent house, but as a body, as a part, it will exist. So legislative assembly of that state will have to pass a resolution. ठीक है, जिस resolution में वो बोलेंगे that we want either abolition or creation of legislative council. अब ये resolution उस legislative assembly में कैसे पास होगा? It needs to be passed by a special majority. I have done majorities with you, so you should be clear with this, which means majority of total member of legislative assembly and majority of not less than 2/3 of member of legislative assembly present and voting. ये दोनों criteria fulfill होंगे, and special majority से that resolution needs to be passed in that Vidhan Sabha, saying that we either want abolition of a legislative council or creation of a legislative council. ठीक है? Secondly, you have to remember, state से पास होने के बाद ये कहाँ जाएगा? पार्लियामेंट के पास. अब ये जब पार्लियामेंट के पास जाएगा तो वहाँ पे पार्लियामेंट इसको सिंपल मेजॉरिटी से, लाइक ऑर्डिनरी लेजिस्लेशन, पास करेगी, because constitution is telling that even if it is having certain changes in the constitution, but it will not be considered as amendment under Article 368. It is not going to be considered that amendment. It will include the provisions for amendment, or any kind of other changes, but it will not be considered as amendment under Article 368. Now that you know about it, you will understand it. It requires special majority, everything else requires ordinary legislation. Okay? So now we'll read what is given in the Constitution. The same thing is given. I'll just give you a read here. Notwithstanding anything in Article 168, which means irrespective of whatever is given in Article 168, Parliament by law can provide for abolition of the council, वहाँ पर where it is already having a council, or provide for creation of a council in states which is having no council. ठीक है? If, but that could only be done by Parliament if the legislative assembly of that state passes a resolution to that effect. उस चीज़ को करने के लिए वो resolution pass करेंगे by majority of total membership of assembly and by majority of not less than 2/3 of members present and voting, which means special majority. If that is done, then only Parliament by law can make changes. Now, any law which is referred in this clause shall contain provisions for amendment of this constitution. इसमें amendment होगा, but this amendment will not be considered under Article 368. So changes होंगे, and any such changes which require any supplement or any incidental thing or any consequences, related provisions, कुछ भी हो, that is also allowed. But that will not be considered as an amendment under Article 368. And therefore, when it will go to Parliament, only simple majority से वो pass हो जाएंगे. Now the question is why did we have such kind of slight complex situation here? So when the constitution was being made, the constitution makers did argue on this, and many members says that there are many states, because every state is not equal in terms of economic situation. So some states have poor resources, they might not be able to afford the second chamber. So it should depend on the financial strength of the state. So we will give it to the wish of the state and will of the state. If they want to have a chamber of legislative council, okay. If they don't want to have it, that is also okay. That is why it was decided like that. Okay. Now I hope we are clear, and please keep marking the articles that we have done. So we have done Article 169, we have done Article 168, and we have done Article 79. So I also keep marking, you also keep marking. In the next videos, we'll try to understand about composition. अब ये specific houses, राज्यसभा कैसा होता है, legislative council कैसा होता है, लोकसभा कैसा होता है, legislative assembly कैसा होता है. In all of that, we'll see the composition. Hope the video was of use to you. You have learned a lot. Thank you so much, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.